Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network. In conjunction with Clear Production Sports is another edition of a Friday Eve tradition. We get to have some fun. It's the big guy KG. I'm the Midnight Rider. And we do a little sports show that has everybody saying Thursday night throwdown. Yeah.
You wait all week just to get to the Thursday night throwdown. Yeah. This is beautiful, man. This is beautiful. How you feeling tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I might have to move this lamp because every time I look up, I get
blind.
that bulb. So I got when I blink, I get that little light or whatever. Figure that out. Production.
Let me say this before we get started. Next week there will be a lineup change as far as what you see on the screen. I'll let you know next week when that is. So that gives you a reason to tune in for next week's Thursday night throwdown, as well as the Tuesday night flight. So that gives you a reason to tune in for those two, because we got a lineup change coming. So without further ado, let's get into this show. Man, we got a few things to cover, so I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to be positive. And optimistic is a great word. Now, to our NFL fans, are you more or less optimistic about your team after the draft? I'll start with you, Midnight Ride, and then we'll open the floor to comments from anybody on Facebook, YouTube. Even if you're listening to the audio of this in your car, drop us a line.
Yeah,
I'll start with you, Midnight Rider. Are you more or less optimistic about your team?
Well, let's also tell them, if they catch this on delay, put your comment on the page because we like information. This is a group of guys that if you got an opinion, you share it with us. We want to look at it. We want to read it. Because we like information. I like the opinions of other people, especially when it comes to their sports teams. So without further ado, let me answer the question. Am I more or less optimistic? I'm actually more. And I've said this. If you've watched any of our draft shows, I've said a couple of things. I always talk about having a type, fitting the mold and having a type. And I felt like that got established last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the draft because I got to see the type of players that this team wants. So with that being said, that just gave me a reason to be a little bit more optimistic. And I think this kid, Brandon Coleman, that they drafted from TCU, if he can be a ball player, he can help them speed up the curve. Because even if he plays right tackle at worst, you can move Wiley, who's a weak link, and maybe move him to guard, and that strengthens up your line. Or if you hit on a couple of these free agents. So I'm very optimistic. I'm getting to the point, because Snyder's not here, that I'm actually thinking, like I'm having division champs thoughts. I don't think I'm going to predict it, but I think this team can, if they get a run or get in the right space, they have an opportunity because of the coaching, because of the management staff. And even if it's not this year, they'll definitely be in contention next year. So it's one of those things where it's almost, are we setting up for the run? And we're going to give you that glimmer of hope. And then next year's the year that they take off. So that's kind of where I'm thinking right now. So I'm definitely more optimistic than I was going into the draft because I finally got some of the pieces that I was missing. You know how you get like a puzzle and like there's a couple of holes in the puzzle and you got to put them in to see how the whole picture looks? That's what happened for me over the last weekend.
Well, let me say this before we get to comments and everything. I'm a lot more optimistic, but I have grown to hedge my bets, if you will, not get too optimistic because I've been through the Fortune 500 Redskins. I've been through the free agent signing of Sean Gilbert and all those guys, thinking, oh man, we about to have a top 5 defense And I've been crowned Super Bowl champ by the media in June and July. And then we wind up being Super Bowl chumps come January. So I'm trying not to be overzealous, but I am optimistic. I see an above 500 finish, but when I say above 500, I'm talking not 9-8. I'm talking possible 11-6. So I'm feeling very, very optimistic.
You know what you're doing? You're doing the PTSD dance. Like, you want to say you're optimistic, but your PTSD is saying no. But then you said 11 wins, so it's there.
It's there. But see that's under Ron. Not even gonna lie to you. I want to say when Ron first came in, I said everybody was like, "Oh, I see 10 wins." I was like, "Nah, this could be an 11-win team." And that first year under Ron, we were 7-9, won a division, but that was an 11-win team. They lost 5 or 6 games, very, very close. So I thought that was an 11-win team, and it just didn't work out that way. But now I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic, not because of just Dan Quinn. I think Dan Quinn he put together a great staff that's going to give us a shot. But I also think that Adam Peters sat down with this coaching staff, and like you said, they drafted a type. And I love it, man. I love it. Couple of comments. We got to get to Ross. He commented in the group of Sideline Junkies 24/7 on Facebook. He said, for me, I'm a little more optimistic. They drafted like they said they would. I believe 7 out of the 9 have been captains at one time or another. All have 4 years of college experience, and all of them, whether on offense or defense, play the game at full speed and initiate violent contact. We will survive violently. Not one pick was trying to make a player be something they aren't. So that's optimism from one Thanos and Ross. Matty Ice checking in. For my Raiders, I am more, but it's all about a full year of AP.
So, Mike, do you think? Actually, shoot him the stream and see if he can get on.
Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. Give me a second. My main man, Keith, he said, I've always been in the wait and see camp and possibly grade a draft a few days after. Of course, with teams that pick early, those fans can feel way more optimistic because of the quality player that they got. Not trying to brag here, but as a Dallas fan, we usually don't draft very high, always around the very late teens or 20s picking. 2 examples I can think of I absolutely despise when we drafted Zach Martin, dirt, and Dallas got trashed for selecting Travis Frederick with the 31st.
I remember that draft because I don't know if I called it before, but I thought they were going to get Frederick because they needed a center. And I thought they may take a center this year. I thought they was going to take the kid Rogers Johnson from Oregon. So, yeah.
And Xavier said, I think the Commanders are going to do better than last season. I mean, I don't see why he comment on the Commanders. He's a Vikings fan anyway.
So tell us about the Vikings.
He don't know nothing about the Vikings. All he knows is Justin Jefferson. All he know how to do is.
Oh, okay.
That's all he know how to do.
Dang. Well, I guess if you're loyal to your team, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know the kid. I didn't raise him. I don't know who he is. Here's my thing. And Matty Ice, if you listen, I just shot you the link. But here's my thing. I want to jump up and yell, yes, we're finally turning the corner. But every time I jump up and yell, we're finally turning the corner, it's not even a real corner. It's one of those like cutouts in the wall, like you walk in this little cutout and then it just turns right back to the straight. It's not even a corner. It's hard to get over that. Very, very hard to get over that.
I agree with you, but I just take it as almost viewing this as just an expansion team. Like, my team just arrived. I finally just got my team back, and this is my first look at my team.
They did what?
Huh?
What did they do?
What are you talking about?
You said my team finally what?
I finally got back my team.
No. You said something very, very special there.
What
And
did
I
I
like
say? You gotta tell me what I said because I don't remember.
you said my team finally arrived. No, Washington has not arrived yet.
I wasn't using it in that context, but yeah, I think it's arrived that they don't have everything else around it. This is brand new everything. Um, and we get to see how this ownership group is going to handle their business from a fan interaction standpoint to what changes they make at FedEx. I know they can't but so much, but all that stuff. I mean, we get finally a full year of seeing them at work. What's the plan for training camp? You know, I figured they'll probably stay here. So are the Ravens coming down for you know what is it called joint practice?
Yeah,
You know, are they doing that because you know you've taken away a preseason game, so you need that extra evaluation time, and that's what I thought the beauty of those practices were. So I would love to see that. I mean, of course, you got different people there, so um, you know that you can probably get to Richmond and it not be a hassle.
true.
Because
And
the people that I guess you know held Richmond hostage, they're gone. So you know you might have somebody with some issues, but that's about it. Hey, what's up, Maddie?
we join with
How
Maddie.
we doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Not much. You
Evening?
guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, you good.
Okay, because I'm doing this from the car, so hopefully that worked.
So real quick, I got two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
First, you know my favorite question. How many ejections today?
None. Although the first game was a
Okay.
little chippy for a spring league Pee Wee game. I think we had like 10 penalties, which is about 8 more than I want to call, but they're just stupid stuff. But no ejections.
All right, and then I know you said you know you were happy about the Raiders because of AP, but like if you incorporate the draft and everything else, are you still excited or like did
I
the
am.
draft open? I should say it that way.
I was happy, when Penix went to Atlanta, I was happy that we didn't then go chase a quarterback because that was my big fear was either, that we're going to chase a quarterback. I love getting the tight end from Georgia. I think at least he gives either AOC or Minshew, whoever's going to be the one, a lot of weapons to throw to. They added a couple of good offensive linemen. They got a big, tall cornerback in the 4th round, and then they added that running back kid from Delaware in the 7th round that a lot of people think is going to be like a Danny Woodhead type. So overall, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the draft. I'm glad that they didn't chase and they drafted with best player available mentality. So that was kind of a nice change.
So with the moves and AP, you feeling AFC West champs?
I won't go that far, not with KC. I'd be happy. I'd be happy with playoffs this year. If they can get 10, 11 wins, get in the playoffs, that to me would be good. That's a successful year.
KG?
I like that 10 to 11 playoff, 10 to 11 wins in the playoffs because just like we talk about here in DC, the defense arriving vitally. I think anybody under Antonio Pierce, I think that's going to be a violent defense, and he showed that when he took over last year. And he came out to that game. He had on black Air Force Ones. That lets you know the type of energy that he was bringing.
Yep. And he's such a good coach. I mean, he was even like when they had the guy come in from for after the 1st round pick, he flew in his family with him and stuff like that to the campus and everything, and he was right there in his Raider gear greeting them. So I just think that the buzz with him is just going to be incredible. So
Hey, I know you're driving. We want you to be safe. So, but I wanted to get your opinion before we got out of here. I knew you weren't able to type it in. Anything else for us? And we'll let you bounce.
nope, just enjoying the hockey as much as we can here. So it's we haven't. I don't know if we're going to get any game 7s in this round 1. That's for sure. But unless Nashville or Toronto pulls off something fun tonight, maybe Dallas, Vegas will give us a game 7. I'm hoping for that one, but I think so far the first round's been pretty status quo, other than my biggest surprise would probably be not that Colorado beat Winnipeg. It's just how badly they beat them up, and they scored 5 goals a game on likely the guy that's going to be the Vezina Trophy winner. I mean, they just dominated that series, but it's fun.
All right, so keep your ears open or give us a knock on that when the second round starts.
Yeah, they're talking about, I think Sunday is going to
Okay.
be Sunday's likely game 1 for the Rangers and Canes. That might be the only series that starts Sunday, but a lot will probably depend on these games tonight, because I think Toronto series, Boston series could be done. Depending on what happens with Vegas, that one could be done. So we'll see. I think it's just the one game tonight. So probably just depends on if any goes to 7 or not. If anything is more than just Sunday.
Oh.
Think we might have lost him.
Yeah. Go ahead and let's just go ahead and let him get out.
If you can hear me, Matty Ice, thank you. Couple comments. Keith says Dallas should have stayed pat at 24 and got the kid from Duke, in my opinion.
Oh, he's talking about Barton or Burton.
Xavier say that is not me. That's him. With Jaden Daniels, I would actually be happy looking at the TV.
Okay.
He was happy last year with Sam Howell, so I was happy with Sam Howell all season because I know the kid was trying. Anyway, I can actually go to school, brag about how good the Commanders are, and not get laughed at.
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay.
Understandable. Let me make sure I got everything here. I think I got everything as far as comment-wise. Just looking at teams as a whole, and I know we're going to do this once we get, the schedule out and we get closer to the season. We're going to talk about division winners and everything like that. The big dog says, "Good evening, gentlemen." Blue Roses 26. That's one of my children. I don't know if it's the little one or the big one. That's the little one. Says hello. That's a Kasha.
I like that name.
Here's the thing. When it comes down to grades, and I agree with what Keith said, you can't grade a draft. I think 3 to 5 years, that's how you grade a draft. But you can't grade a draft right off break. And I remember this draft, I think we were given an A in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was the draft. It had to be 2017 or 2018. It might have been 2017, but it might have been 2018 because I remember recording the show with the boss BJ and the Redskins at the time, and the Bills were 1 and 3 respectively in draft grades. Like highest draft grade, it was a draft report card, and the Redskins had the highest graded draft. And if we look back at that draft right now, I want to say it was 18. I may be wrong, but I doubt it. That as high as that draft was rated on paper right then and there, it didn't look that good when it panned out. So,
well, I mean, think about the quarterbacks that were drafted in 2020, the class with Trevor Lawrence. You have Justin Fields. You have, help me out here. Who were the other two? Oh, Zach Wilson.
mm-hmm.
But that class alone, 4 of the 5 guys that were taken in the first round are all on different teams now. And Trevor Lawrence hasn't really had a breakout year yet. So we're talking about like an inexact science to his finest. I mean, you also have a guy like Brock Purdy who was drafted in the 7th round. If you give the 49ers a grade on that draft now, you got to give them an A for finding their franchise quarterback.
That is true.
Or at least their seat holder.
Well, that was a 2018 draft that we looked at. Here's the thing, and this is a question. Being honest, not being facetious. Before Brock Purdy, when's the last time San Francisco had a franchise quarterback?
franchise. I mean, of course they got by with Garcia and company.
Yeah.
Um,
But did you consider
yeah,
Jeff
Alex
Garcia?
Smith.
Did you consider Jeff Garcia a franchise quarterback? Did you consider Alex Smith a franchise quarterback?
Not really.
Okay.
Then
That's like saying
I
that's
think the
like
only
me in
other
Washington before Kirk Cousins. I said it to Al Goldie years ago, and I said Al Goldie, you forgot about Mark Rippon. He said, Mark Rippon was here for 5 years, only the starter for 3, so you can't really consider him a franchise quarterback. It's like we haven't had a franchise quarterback before Kirk since Theismann.
that's interesting because I would think he would have said because I thought Campbell gave you like 4 or 5 years as the starter.
But he wasn't. Was he really a franchise quarterback, or was he just stopgap?
Well, you draft him in the first round, so he has to be the person that you want to wrap your franchise around.
Yeah. But now back to San Francisco before we get off on that tangent. We'll talk about that in a second. But back to San Francisco. When's the last time they had a franchise quarterback?
Do you consider Cap?
Cap only really had 2 years of starting. That
So
third
then-
year, he started 2 years under. Well, he only had one full season. He came in and replaced Alex Smith. They went to the NFC Championship game. He took him to the Super Bowl the following year. After that, Harbaugh quit. He had the rough start with was it Tom Sula first or was it Chip Kelly? But he had the 2 years under them two clowns, and he was never the same. So you can't even really count him as a starting quarterback.
So then let's just say, for argument's sake, let's just go with Purdy then.
Okay.
And then there's just a gap.
Here's a guy. But and good evening to you as well.
My man Dave, the soccer expert.
Here's the thing. When you talk franchise quarterbacks, that's somebody that, like, I thought RG3 would have been a franchise quarterback. He would have been, barring the injury. But here in Washington, honestly, we haven't had a franchise quarterback since Kirk walked out the door. Before Kirk, it was a revolving door at quarterback. You had your Jeff Georges, your Jason Campbells, your Tony Banks, your Rodney Peets, your Heath Schulers, your Gus Rott was more of a franchise quarterback than most of the guys I just named. In Gus we trust. But before we even get on from off of this NFL subject, let me pick your brain a little bit. Let me ask you a question. What makes a franchise quarterback?
I mean, first of all, it's the expectations. This person should be, for me, they should be in the top 10, at minimum, a top 12 quarterback. And then the next part is the time frame of them being a successful quarterback. So, you need a window of maybe 4 or 5 years where this guy has put things in place. And, now that Goldie made that comment, I might even be hesitant to say Kirk was a franchise quarterback. He gave you franchise level play, but what was that? 4 years that maybe he started? 3?
Hold on,
so it depends on the you know what I'm saying? It depends on how and I think that criteria can also kind of move between teams because of time, because of people being moved. So I think you gotta be careful on that. Because we throw it around like it's that and like GOAT are like the most loosely used terms in the sports lexicon.
Don't forget Big 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, those are your 3 overused, overhyped things. He had 3 years as a full-time starter, 2015, 16, and 17. No more than 9 wins. Finished below 500 1 year, and that was 17. That was his last year here.
I thought they had 2. I thought they went 9-7,
9-7, 8-7-1, and 7-9.
Right. So they had 2 seasons over 500.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. I thought you said. I'm sorry.
I'm saying.
I'm a little delusional right now.
That's okay. We talking about Kirk Cousins. He was too. Xavier says, "Do you think McCoy could have been a franchise quarterback if he played?" Well, no. See, the thing with McCoy playing here, McCoy was good coming in cold because nobody prepared for him. You didn't spend the whole week preparing for him. When you got the whole week to prepare for Colt McCoy, that's a dub. But when somebody goes down and Colt McCoy comes in the game cold, you don't know what you're getting because you've prepared all week. Let's put it this way. If the Midnight Riders is starting quarterback and Colt McCoy is his backup, Midnight Rider is killing him, dogging him out right now. We up 21-0. Midnight Rider goes down with a pulled ham. He can't come back. You put Colt McCoy in. You've been preparing for the Midnight Rider and him chucking the ball down the field 80 yards on one play with a flick of a wrist, rolling out the pocket, throwing on a run, throwing a dot on the sideline. That's what you prepare for all week. Colt McCoy coming in. Colt McCoy would dink and dunk you all down the field, and you be like, oh, man, we got this. And all of a sudden, he throw that thing over the top. Now it's 28-0. Then he take off for a run that's probably the slowest run. He running like a 39 Chrysler, but you can't catch him. Now it's 35-0. See, that's the best part about Colt McCoy as a backup because you never knew how to prepare for him if you didn't prepare for him all week.
But his problem was he was just too fragile. That's the case. Every time he got a chance to start, he's right up there with Tyrod Taylor. You give him the opportunity to start, he'll be hurt in 2 to 3 weeks, and whoever the backup is will have a job. Now, I do like Colt McCoy in his draft prep role that he just took on. I forget the station he's working with, but he did some draft evals on quarterbacks.
Wait.
He did an excellent job.
He retired? Has he officially retired or he just doesn't have a job?
I don't know if he officially retired, but I know he's doing TV. He's in podcast land. Him and Jay Gruden do a little something every now and then.
No. Colt McCoy, if you listening to me, with the knowledge that you have from playing this game, Colt McCoy make a great quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator, soon to be head coach. I'm saying it right now because he's always been one of those high IQ guys. Even when he was at Texas, high IQ guy.
So I know he can't play right now because I think he had an injury last year and it hasn't recovered. The recovery hasn't been going well. And he's had some setbacks. So I think that's why he's on the couch. They did ask him in an interview if he thought about being a QB coach or a coordinator. And I think he said something to the effect, just trying to figure out if he's done playing first. And then he'll see, try to see what he feels like.
If he does not become an OC, a quarterback coach, or something of the sort at the NFL level, it's a crying shame. Or as my grandmother used to say, it's a sin and a shame if he does not become that. Because you don't get too many high IQ guys that played the game that well. But while they were playing the game, guys could go to him and they could break film down the way he could. So, all right, that's enough of me gushing over Colt McCoy.
I didn't know you loved him that much, man.
I got mad respect for him. I loved him coming out of Texas. I knew he wasn't big name, but I loved him at Texas. And to watch him play up close here in DC, it's a different thing. I watched him come in, and he goes down in Redskin lore, not Commanders lore. He goes down in Redskin lore of walking into AT&T Stadium, the world's largest toilet bowl, and delivering a massive victory.
Okay.
So he goes down in lore with that. Xavier say, don't Colt play with Arizona. Colt plays nowhere now. He was with the Giants last year. Was it the Giants last year?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I just know he got hurt. I wouldn't be surprised if he was in Arizona and got hurt, and then they ended up having to go to Dobbs.
Yeah, he was in Arizona last year. You're right. You're right, Xavier. He was in Arizona last year for the last 3 years, actually. And we were talking about drafts. And that was the 2018 draft we were talking about. That was the Deron Payne, Darius Geis, Garon Christian, Troy Apke, Tim Settle, Sean Deion Hamilton, Greg Stroman, and Trey Quinn draft that Washington was rated highest. And out of all of those players, only one remains with the team, and that is Deron Payne. Everybody else has gone to the wayside. So, since we're talking about Washington, let's get to this real quick. It's been official. It's been official for a while, but it's officially official. RFK will be demolished. I seen a line about it, and I wanted to get your opinions on this line because you've had time there, and I love when you talk about the times and your football family and things like that at RFK because those memories need to be preserved. Somebody said, well, RFK is an eyesore. Yes, it needs to be demolished, but guess what? That's our eyesore. That's our dump. That's our stadium. Because when you demolish that stadium, you're demolishing history. You're demolishing the memories. You're trying to take all of it away from us because that's ours. No matter what it looks like, no matter how bad it is, that's ours. And I felt that, and I want to know how you felt about that statement.
The only thing I disagree with, I mean, nothing can take my memories. Nothing can take being on the edge of my seat, praying on 4th and 1 and watching Darrell Green tip the ball away from Darren Nelson. Nothing takes away, like that building isn't me remembering Art Monk catching a 20. Watching mini games come down to the end. I think what would be missing is the visual. Because there'll never be another stadium that looks like RFK, built like RFK, used like RFK. I've gone to so many things at RFK. The Nats, when they got there, the old timers games that used to go, and I used to get to hear my dad talk about, and my uncle talk about Applin and Lou Brock. So for me, all those memories are going to be there. I think the thing that's going to hurt the most is just not seeing the building anymore. And I think that the visual will be what I lose because I'm so used to coming through that part of town, and I always look there, and I always it's almost a memory starter. Like I just get boom, a thought will flash. Like, oh, remember this, remember that. So yeah.
Now we talked a few months back. We were talking about stadium ideas and taking over that area and putting another stadium there. And my grand idea of having a multi-purpose dome stadium there. And you guys telling me it's not possible. I'm telling you guys it is possible. It is. You gotta have a belief. You gotta believe. Goonies don't say die.
Yeah. What was it? I'm sorry. I'm still cringing from the thought of that. What was it? A 70,000 that could go to 90,000.
Depending on the night.
Sea stadium / hockey rink / basketball court.
Yeah.
Look,
trying to save money.
Church of Southeast DC. Yeah.
I'm trying to put jobs in DC and save money. But I've had time to think about it. Pull my coat and follow me on this one. 65,000 seat stadium, open air. But you got it built in the end zone. The very first level is built in that once you get to that point in the game, let's say the defense has got the offense backed up. Our defense has the opposing offense backed up to the goal line. And then all of a sudden that stadium starts rocking. It's built in the rock right there around that edge. Man, just to have that back again, just to have that type of fandom again, where if you at the end, you're anywhere in that stadium, the noise cascades down and it's too hard to even call your offense as an opposing team. And I'm sure you remember this. I want to say that was the 87 season after the strike. And we were playing Detroit. And Detroit kept complaining that they couldn't hear. I think they were at about the 40-48. The Redskins 40-48. So they were in the middle of the field almost. And they kept complaining about not being able to hear. The ref comes over to Joe Gibbs and tells him, if you don't quiet this crowd down, I'm going to find you a timeout. And, we're going to do all this. So Joe Gibbs comes out, asks everybody to be quiet. They got a little quieter. Very next play, interception thrown. And I remember Frank Herzog said, "Try to calm him down now. Try to quiet him down now." And the place just went wild. I just want to have a place that goes wild like that, where not only does it rock, but it rocks when we're winning. It rocks when the crowd gets loud, but you got that cover. Like RFK has that cantilever cover that they actually use it in Seattle. And the sound goes up and then it cascades down. That's why it's one of the loudest stadiums around. I want something like that, where when you say, "Damn, we got to play in Washington this week," God, you have to go and pipe noise in to get ready for that because it's so loud in there. That's all I want. And that's the only way to truly honor RFK Stadium.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the rocking. I understand what you're saying, but I think what they really need, because I've been in FedEx when it's gone bananas. The Jacksonville game where Tanner catches the ball in OT and takes it to the house. Leaving that place that day was the height of euphoria. The Sean Taylor, the Troy Vincent block kick, Sean Taylor return,
and the Nick Novak kick,
and the Novak with the just made the kick. That place was bananas that night. There's probably plenty more that happened. I can't think of all of them because I think my last year was 2005. Because it got to the point you couldn't find people to go.
See, this is why. See, let me get spiritual for a minute. God put us together for a reason. Because you talk about not finding people to go. We wound up at FedEx for preseason games, regular season games. We always try to go at least once a year. But a lot of times it's always been nobody wants to go. Like I went to my first football game by myself against Detroit. Dwayne Haskins' first win.
Oh, so
amazing. Stadium was loud. Stadium wasn't even full, and it was loud then.
Yeah, I mean, we have passion.
Yes.
It's just those moments. I mean, I remember watching, and I ain't even to cut you off, but I'm gonna get this and get out your way. There's one 2012 had some big moments.
Yes.
That's that sports year. The game 4 Jason Worth homer. I was so ecstatic after that. And then you followed up with the RG3 run against the Vikings,
aka electrifying.
I'm gonna try to say this as best I can, and I might have to jump off for a second. But that energy and being able to see that with my pops, even though we weren't at the stadium, but we were like, we would just like every now and then when we watch games, I'll come up and sit and watch certain parts of the game with them. And yeah, that play happened, dog, and it's one of those memories that I always will share with him.
I understand that, and I great memory, amazing. So I feel where you're coming from. I do, I really do, and I said something to that effect of God put us together for a reason. I say that because, like, we go and we try to create. BJ has this thing. He's like, man, we got to create our own memories, and that's what we try to do. And we got to start hooking up and going to some of these games. We got to get you out. They build a new stadium, man. We got to get you in the new stadium. We got to get you up in there, because then you got to be able to sign a pillar or something. You got to sign a pillar in the joint, and they got to see that's what they got to do. They got to get all the RFK faithful to sign a pillar in the new stadium that say RFK faithful was here.
But you know what? Listening to Mark Iron's podcast, they dropped the clip from it. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he talks about having a Hall of Fame at whatever the new site is. And he was like, when we build either the facility or the stadium, we're going to have a Redskins Hall of Fame, Commanders Hall of Fame. And what we're going to do is I think they said that he was going to pay for the transportation, for any school that wants to come in there. They'll provide them food. The kids are gonna be able to leave with a hat and a t-shirt. And that's gonna be their way of trying to rebuild this fan base. That alone right there tells me we're operating this. So when we go back to that first set when we're talking about like why you're more optimistic, when you watch people treat people right and try to build it right, we have an opportunity to do something special. And that's part of the reason I'm a little more gung-ho than normal for this upcoming season.
And you got every right to be. I'm trying to get out of that doormat field. So I'm trying to get myself out of the cornfield and say, hey, it's light here at the end of the tunnel. I'm trying to get towards the light, and I'm almost there. It's just every time I try to go, something keep pulling me back. So, it's the past, man. The past keep calling. Scooter checking in.
There we go.
It's my hope that the DC/US government decides to make RFK Field as a park. See what the Bronx did. Elston Howard Field is now used as a ballpark. You can stand at the pitcher mound made famous by Mariano Rivera. You can also stand at the plate with Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Yogi Berra did with the old Yankee Stadium. And you know what? What's crazy? You think about this. Before RFK, the Redskins played at Griffith Stadium. And I still try to imagine that because of where Griffith Stadium was set. If you're familiar with DC, where Howard University Hospital is, that's where Griffith Stadium sat. And they say if you go in the hospital, I want to say it's on the bottom floor. I forget which corridor it's in. It's home plate there that they have, and it's marked out home plate. That's where home plate was actually at. And I say, damn, I always wonder how that stadium sat up because I wasn't old enough to see it. But I've heard stories about it. And to say that we're getting ready to go through that again, possibly with RFK, it seems foreign. But you had so many great things happen at RFK. And I've always thought that, okay, you got to preserve it somehow. I love what Scooter said right there. You got to preserve it as, a park where kids can go and say, hey, this is where the Redskins played.
Now, hold on, KG.
Yes.
Because he's not saying he's building a stadium and a park.
No. It's just, I know I'm not going to get,
No. Calm down. I'm just saying, I just want to make sure, he's talking about the park part of it, not doing the stadium at all.
Yes.
So, yeah, because I know you're not big on that being a park, but I think the way Scooter presented it, I think you can deal with it.
Here's the thing. When it comes to parks in this area, I've seen them turn public parks into permit-only parks. I'm talking, when I say public parks, I'm talking you got a soccer field, a football field, all that you go to every Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden they close and say they renovate. You're like, all right, cool, we're going to have a new stadium by Thanksgiving. Then you come, you got to have a permit. And the permit's $500 just for the day. Yeah, I've seen that. I don't want to see something like that. Something that was so near and dear to the city's heart be something that you have to pay to visit just to play in a public park. I don't want to see that. I'd rather see it where you can take your kids there and you have these monuments to commemorate what happened on this very spot. That's what I'd like to see. If I can't get the stadium, I'd like to see that. That way you can go down there and you can see the old timers down there. Hey, Larry Brown made his run right here. And he cut up the field and he made that run right there. His MVP season in 72. You can get that type of thing. That way you can pass the game on a little bit more. And you said something about getting the younger people into the fan base. I would love to see that. I would love to see, because that was always a thing.
They said they're willing to go out, I think like you said, like 100 miles and get these kids to wherever this facility is and start trying to make them Redskins fans again or Commanders fans again. And with that being said, by listening to him and that conversation, I know a couple of things are going to happen. That's going to be one. I think two, unless they do something dynamic in these next 2 years, or I guess there's got to be next 2 years. Expect a new name,
Yes.
and I think I would expect the new name to be made or dropped because within 2 years you should be able to get the stadium location and everything in place, the logistics together. So somewhere in there, I think new stadium and new name become a thing. And I don't expect the grand pomp and circumstances. I think they're going to change the name and say our name is this. Thank you. You might have like some activation somewhere, and that's about it. You're not going to have them on the Tonight Show, the Day Show, and Craig Melvin. Ha ha! We're not going to have that.
I think if you're going to go that route, you wait to change the name when you open a new stadium.
Yeah, I think you're going into the stadium, new name. It's going to be new name, new stadium, same tradition.
I like that tagline. Now, here's why I say that, because you're old enough to remember. I mean, you're a young man, but you're old enough to remember when the Browns came to Baltimore. You're old enough to remember that 96. And what's crazy is the Baltimore Colts marching band continued on for 12 years, looking for a team. And they wanted to be the official team of the Baltimore Ravens. What's his name? David Modell was on a talk show in Baltimore. He was talking about it, and he's, it made it official then. But what they did, they were the Baltimore Colt marching band until they left out of Memorial Stadium. When they went into what is now M&T Bank Stadium, that's when they changed their name to the Baltimore Marching Ravens. And it was like David said, hey, I wanted to take the newness and cloak them in the newness. So when we turned over, that's what we did. And then what they also did, the last game, I want to say it was the last game at Memorial Stadium, they had all the old players come out in Baltimore Colt jackets. And then when they finished, they took the jackets off, turned them inside out, and they were all Ravens. Something like that, where you get all the old players to embrace this new name, everything. You bring back the band. You bring back the first ladies of football. You bring everything back that made us what it made us. Even though we were a shit show at times, but we still had a tradition. I would love to see that happen.
Just remember, these guys are different kinds of. They don't sit there and tell you every time you put a camera on them that they are a football fan of this team. They tell you that they told you once, and they continue to show you every chance they get that this means more to them than anything else.
Right. It seems like it means more than just I'm just playing my toys right now. This is not Madden or owner mode. This is real life. So I'm loving it. We got one more thing left. Hold on, let me get to this comment, then we'll get to the last topic. Scooter says it's important to make it a park. There's no new stadium.
You said if there's no new stadium.
If there's no new stadium, I'm sorry, I'm blind. I'm legally blind. Great for the kids to remember, and families can enjoy the space, and it's not feeling like a city. I get that, and I love that. I love that. I love that idea.
See, I would do like landmarks, or like instead of yard poles, like in the playground, they put poles, or like you know how in parks they got the little placards where it tells you about something that happens.
Yeah,
I would love to see something like that, like almost like Yankees Legends Park, but this park has these things, and it tells you in 1987 Monday Night Football, Art Monk broke the record for catches. Up further is talking about John Riggins breaking the rushing record against the Vikings in a playoff game, like stuff like that. Give you all the tidbits. I would love to see something like that. I think we might be too old to get that. Like they may want to modernize it. I don't know. They might have holograms by the time we get to that point.
Yeah, you hit a button and all of a sudden it shows you the whole play of what happened right in that spot. I mean, they did that at when they tore down the Capitol Center. If you remember Capitol Center, the Boulevard at Cap Center, when they, what was it? It was by Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles. They had all the things standing up, and it was saying, "Hey, the Caps won this game on this spot. Prince performed to a sold-out crowd here. The Washington Bullets won a championship while playing." It was like different stuff like that. But it was just so, it wasn't enough for me because I was like, it's a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff happening in this building. But if you're a historian like me, you'll know it's a lot of places around the city that you can go get some real history. Go to Uline Arena, which is a REI store now. The Washington Capitals, the basketball team coached by Red Auerbach, used to play there. The Beatles held their first American concert in that very building. Go check it out.
So since we're transitioning to NBA, the Indiana Pacers are up 114-94 with 2 minutes left in the fourth. So I guess Doc gets to ride off in the sunset and do some TV now.
Does he really get to ride off into the sunset, or before we get to that NBA, does he how much of the L does he have to take for this loss?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that he's going to have to take from this because it doesn't tarnish his legacy. But I mean, I just don't see why a owner would invest in him being a head coach for him.
Here's the thing,
because he came and he failed. He failed.
But the Bucks are the higher seed, correct?
Yeah.
The Bucks are the what? 2 or the 3? No, the Bucks are the 3.
Yeah, the
Knicks
Bucks
are the 2.
3.
So you telling me you come in there as a 3 seed playing a 6 seed and you get dismantled 4-1. That's the reason for heads to roll.
No, that's 4-2.
4-2. Oh, they won. Okay, they did win the other night. 4-2. I'm sorry. Yeah. So you get demolished in 6. That's the reason for heads to roll. But we'll talk about that another time. We talked about this shortly on Tuesday. The NBA moving over to streaming services such as Peacock and Amazon Prime. Midnight Rider. I don't think everybody's looking at the money for this and how much that NBC is talking about paying to get the NBA back and how much Amazon is talking about paying. Nobody's talking about the ramifications and what could possibly happen if this happens.
KG, we've lived through these iterations multiple times.
Yes, we have, but now
we grew up. I think, if I remember correctly, I don't know if you were old enough, but I think it was Tommy Heinsohn and company, and I think that was on CBS at first. Then it went to Channel 4.
Yeah, but on CBS, the finals were on tape delay. When NBC took over, you had Marv Albert, Bob Costas, Steve Snapper Jones, Ahmad Rashad. You had all these different characters. You had Bill Walton.
Okay, but hear me out.
Okay, go ahead.
We've lived through like I love your passion for what you had, but I mean, we've been changing so much. Like, I remember still when CBS had the NFL the first time around.
Yeah,
and then they lost it to Fox.
Right.
And then NBC lost theirs. I mean, it's an ever-changing circle because all these leagues are doing are chasing the dollars. And they don't care about our memories or the things we hold sacred, just like possibly losing inside the NBA. You might lose that product, but you're going to keep some version of NBA TV, even if you do it in your variation of it. I mean, technology is so vast and different now that they're not sticking to these traditional ways of TV watching.
But here's the thing.
If only, one second. And the only problem I have is of all the leagues that haven't decided to do anything, baseball is still too dumb to realize that people want to see your product. And what you do is you make it accessible to people. You don't hide the product from the people. The only thing I don't understand. I don't understand it. Oh, yeah, you live in the market? Oh, yeah, we're going to black out that game. But you can watch 18 other games of teams that, okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to stop because I can keep going with this.
Yes, you can. And here's my thing. The NBA has done that to a certain degree. The NBA has done that to a certain degree, and I say that because think about this. You got the NBA. Okay, let's take it back a little bit so I can get to my point. When you had the NBA on NBC, yes, I would love to get Round Rock. What is it called? Round Rock Rebound by John Tesh. I would love to have that back.
Okay.
I would love to have that back, but not at the expense of losing basketball on TNT. Now, I remember when basketball used to come on Tuesdays on TNT and Thursdays on TBS. I remember that. So we've been doing Inside the NBA for what? Close to 30 years now?
Okay.
That has become one of your staples of the basketball season because of course, Ernie Johnson's probably the one person in NBA history that nobody can hate. I've never heard anybody say anything about Elevator Ernie. Anything bad about him. You can't hate Ernie Johnson. You have Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles. You're talking about possibly splitting up one of the best panels that you have. When it comes to coverage and knowledge, they're tops over everybody. You're talking about splitting that up. Because they can't. Ernie's not going to NBC. He's not going to Amazon Prime because he does more at Turner Sports than just basketball. You're talking about splitting these guys up and putting them elsewhere. You're talking about splitting up the greatness that is inside the NBA for what? Yeah, the money's great
What's
and all
next?
that.
It's still you're getting what's next.
Yeah, but
it's just like we lost.
We're not ready for what's next.
Hold on. What was the show? It was Ahmad Rashad.
NBA Inside Stuff.
All right, so you lost that at one point.
Yes.
They tried to recreate it.
Hold on, time out. You didn't lose that. They changed it. It was first it was Ahmad Rashad and Willow Bay. Willow Bay left. Summer Sanders took over. When the NBA went from NBC to ABC, they tried to keep it going, but they never kept it in the same time slot because it's supposed to be on Saturdays at 12 o'clock. Because I need jam session, I need rewind before I go outside, damn it. And I wasn't getting it. It was never on at the same time.
Right. And now let's think about this. You said Inside the NBA is 30 years old, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about what, 90?
We're talking about 94, 95. I'll have to look it up to be sure.
No, you ain't got to look it up.
I want to be correct.
So no, because you I don't want to kill the point.
Okay.
The point is we've had changes. We've grown to love people. Now we have a new, like, once they make this move, and you got to start thinking about this, because I think about it all the time now, because when I go into applications and I start going down the lines of the age ranges, I'm in the fourth bracket now. I ain't in the second or third no more. I'm in the fourth. So that tells me that TV and everything else isn't coming to me now. They're going to start going to everybody else. And yes, it's a great show, and we're going to have to say bye to it. But we're going to get something in this place, and it's going to take time. And then that'll become that generation's version of our Inside the NBA. There's so many athletes that are in the commentary business. I just heard Jamal Crawford the other night doing a game. Amazing. I loved it. So now you get the guys that used to. So now you got to start replacing the Kenny Smiths, the Charles Barkleys. Maybe Shaq goes over because Shaq is the pillar that kind of is young enough. He's young and not old at the same time, so he can maybe stick around. They already have a great show with Jamal Crawford, Grant Hill,
Candace Parker.
Yes, so that could be the next iteration.
But see, it doesn't. What I'm saying is, it doesn't all hold together without Ernie Johnson.
It does hold together.
Johnson, he's the mainstay. Ernie Johnson is the mainstay that has never changed out of Inside. Even when he was sick with cancer, my guy never missed a day, never changed out. He is the glue that holds Inside the NBA together. You can't do Inside the NBA without Ernie Johnson.
And they're not going to do it. They're going to name it something different. and have their own version of it.
And yeah, I think we talked about that too. How they're going to put their own spin on it, but it's not going to be the same. You have something that's
It's not
already
supposed to be the same. It's not supposed to be the same. You gotta like, dude, I love you to death, but you can't. I mean, certain things have to get pushed out so the new stuff arrives.
Okay, here's the thing.
Like Dario still doesn't play with his Etch a Sketch. He probably didn't have one. He doesn't still play with his Thomas the Train set.
He said he wanted to play with his Etch a Sketch. He still wants to play with that.
That's different because that's a classic. But no,
okay,
like things have to be displaced. It's
okay.
how the world works, baby.
Hold on, let me throw this at you. Now you don't do this, so I'm gonna throw this at you. What you don't know, you talk about inside. You got to change. You got to change it on NBA 2K24 Mamba Edition. When you play a game, you come into the game. You have the inside the NBA crew. You have Kenny, Ernie, but not Chuck because Chuck wasn't licensed. So you have Kenny, Ernie, and Shaq. End of the game, Shaq does an interview with you. Barbecue chicken alert. You're introducing them to the kids already. The kids know who these guys are. They like, hey, they're in my game. They know who Clark Kellogg is. They know who Kevin Harlan is, Doris Burke, Brian Anderson. What's my man from? Oh, God, he writes up in Boston. Damn, I can't remember his name. They know who he is. Huh?
Shaughnessy?
No.
Simmons?
That's who it is. He's on the game. You're introducing them to these people, and then they see him on TV. They get interested. Oh, let me watch this. He on the game. Now you're getting ready to snatch that away, and you're going to put people in it that they don't know. These kids are already in. They already in love with this because that's all they talk about. The kids love inside the NBA.
They do, and let's not. Like we're making decisions already for NBC and Amazon,
and they even got the contract yet.
They haven't even signed anything yet.
They will, and if they will, it will rip the very fabric of the NBA.
Hold on, time out, because money talks, and trust me, if they find it that it's going to be something that could damage them by not getting Ernie, because Ernie does other things. They're going to figure out a way to say, hey, let us borrow Ernie for these nights, and we'll gladly compensate you and him for this because it's for the betterment of their product.
True. And now that's another thing.
I don't know what else Ernie does because what does he do? Golf?
Ernie does everything. He does inside the NBA. He worked on Open Court on NBA TV, which is a part of it.
Doesn't come on anymore.
I thought they still did Open Court.
I haven't seen one. So come on. I mean, all I'm saying is
he also does.
All right, hold on, because we're getting another wormhole. Here's what I'm gonna say. Let's not put the tombstone on inside the NBA yet. Let's let them sign the contract and let's let them figure it out.
Okay.
And then we worry about if we have to grieve losing inside the NBA.
Okay. Let me get to a couple comments.
Red Auerbach is buried.
Scooter says Red Auerbach is buried in Falls Church. I think I'm out there one day next week. I think I might go past it. That's one grave that I haven't visited. So always go out there, pay my respects to the greats.
I'm good on grave sites.
I'm good. Just something I do. Like
you good.
I go to Lynn Bias and Jay Bias' grave on a regular basis, especially during basketball season. Scooter also said my favorite basketball player, Vin Baker, is a Bucks assistant coach. Yes, he is. He might have a chance to be the head coach.
They're not gonna give a big guard to what you call it.
He said, "What about Fletch?"
Cool.
Scooter also says Charles Barkley says he'll be a free agent, make money. Charles make a lot of crazy money. Yeah, he will, because you're gonna want Charles Barkley on TV, and if he on streaming, I don't think he's censored. He don't have to be censored.
I think this still gonna be censored to us because the Amazon Prime show isn't uncensored and unfiltered.
Now, if you got Charles, you got to have Shaq, because them two together is hilarious.
we're making proclamations before the
I'm
documents
sorry.
even
I'm
signed.
sorry. Let me get to this last comment and I'll explain where this is coming from. Xavier says 2K need to bring back Dave. You talking about David Aldridge? Yes. David Aldridge is probably one of the coolest people you'll ever meet in person. Like I love David Aldridge. I've loved David Aldridge and his columns and everything he has to say. I'm sitting there like a deer in headlights sometimes because I met him in person before. And he was just so cool and unassuming. And just speaking to say, hey, how you doing? It's fucking David Aldridge. But this is where it's coming from. You talked about it. You say we've been through so many iterations of this. I grew up in the NBA on NBC. I grew up with NBA Inside stuff on Saturdays at 12 o'clock. That's why I said I need my jam session and my rewind before I go outside at 12:30. That was a part of my lineup from 1990 until 1999, 2000, when I got out of high school. So from elementary school all the way through middle school, all the way through high school, that was a part of my life. TNBC and Inside stuff. And then the daggone NBA on NBC on Sundays, that was my life. And I felt like I had that ripped away because ABC didn't keep the same energy. And it was like their pregame show and their announcers, I found out about Mike Breen. And I was like, okay, I like Mike Breen. But then when they put him, Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson together, everybody loved that whole lineup. And they ripped that apart. It's like every time we get something going, they rip it apart. They rip our hearts out and rip it apart.
You gotta move forward, man.
But is it really moving forward if you already have the number one product?
Yeah, because you got
the number one product is it's Blue Magic.
But it gets to a certain point where it's not gonna grow anymore.
It's not what?
It's not growing anymore.
But if
you've got guys like Iron Eagle, you've got the Spiro Needies, Didies. You've got a lot of young up and coming reporters that have to start getting their chops and becoming an identity and a place for these people that are going to be watching them for the next 20 years, next 30 years. Like they have to get their version of Inside the NBA. That's all I'm saying.
But if this is your A team, if your A team is Blue Magic, you don't need to cut it. You don't need to boot it. You don't need to do nothing. Don't call Iron Eagle, Spiro Didi's, and Doris Burke Blue Magic. Blue Magic's a brand. You don't know the CEO of General Mills more than you know me. So don't touch my product. You can call it whatever you want, just don't call it Blue Magic because it's not the same. You can put a chokehold on it and call it Blue Dog shit for all I care, but don't call it Blue Magic because this does not need to be cut. This is your number one team. This is what everybody tunes in for. This is what everybody loves. They want to hear bang. That's what they want to hear. And you rip that apart. You turn your fan base off. When you take that stuff away, you turn your fan base off. Because now they have to learn somebody else. Just like when you were here in DC. When you watched a Wizards game, especially during the Big Three era in DC, what you live for? Dagger! That's what you live for. Buck saying dagger every night when Gil hit a shot. That's what you live for. What did they do? They ripped it from us. Who watches Wizards games on TV anymore? It's not because they're bad. It's because you don't want to hear it anymore. You don't hear Buck and Phil Chenier anymore. That's what I'm talking about.
Because I don't need to. I'm listening to Drew Gooden and what's my man? The black dude from used to be on NBC Sports. Like they have two good guys.
They may be good guys. That's great.
But you're not gonna give them a chance.
They're not Phil and they're not Buck. They're not Phil Chenier and Steve Buckhands. They're not them.
Okay. I mean, I can't help you on that part.
I tune into games to hear Mike Breen go. We got a double bang last week. Nobody's talking about that anymore. We got a double bang. We live for this stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the only sports show where you have an impassioned talk about announcers. You get NHL anthem breakdowns only here at the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. And then I'll get off my soapbox and I'll leave it alone. Being a Georgetown fan, and you tell me if I listen to a Georgetown game on the radio, Georgetown wins, but I don't get to hear Rich Vodkin say, Hoyas win, Hoyas win, Hoyas win, Hoyas win, Hoyas win. I don't get to hear that 19 times after a big win. We just beat Syracuse, and I don't get to hear Rich Vodkin say Hoyas win 19 times. You're ripping my soul out if I don't get to hear that.
I don't have nothing else to say, man. Because you're gonna just keep bringing up your guys, and I mean, it's just things change. Things have to happen, man.
If it's not obvious, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like change.
We understand.
Couple comments before we wrap this thing up. Scooter says NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman has the same issue.
Yes. I think they're the two worst.
Double bang, that's a Matt Catlin thing. Xavier coming with it. It's only 6 double bangs in history. That is an iconic call. Kicks it out the alley for 3. Bang! Iconic call. No matter how.
The she bang, does that count?
Oh, baby, when she moves, she moves.
Come on, man. Let's wrap this up, bro.
Oh man, that's like, I mean, I don't even get the. I'm a Bill Walton fan. I don't get the, go on a commercial. Throw it down, big fella. Throw it down. I don't get that anymore. But I love that. I digress. Let me leave the midnight ride alone. So,
you're not bothering me. I'm just sitting here laughing because we talk about this all the time. You and change.
I don't like change. But if it's working, why change, man? If you have the number one show, why say, well, I'm going to tweak this a little bit. I already got the number one show. All we got to do is keep being tight and keep doing us. When we drop down to the number 2 show, then we need to start tweaking something.
I'm going to let you have this. I have spent way too much energy talking about TV announcers today.
Scooter said, thanks for the information and the laughs. Awesome. You're welcome, Scooter. I'm passionate today. I'm positive and I'm passionate. I'm 2 P's. Final thoughts before we get out of here, because we got to go home.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I know you got a heart, but I don't know if you got like one of those Iron Man generators inside your heart or something, because the level of passion and the way you can like vacillate on topics, and that's not the main stuff. It's like the secondary stuff. It always amazes me, man. Like you just like the other day you talked about, what was it? Somebody talking about because Lombardi made his statements on the Junkies, and then somehow how conversation came up, and I was going to actually say to you, I hope you either listen to the segment first before you lost your cool, because I didn't. I tried not to listen to them.
I did.
Only time I listen to them on Wednesdays when Rizzo's on. But just like, yeah, you just get so boom, and it goes from 0 to 10, and I just be sitting back like, whew.
Yeah, I surprised my wife hasn't come around the corner and gave me the
right.
Like she'll give me that every once in a while. She like, look, you gotta chill, but it's
no, dude.
It's a passion for the sport.
You do this. You do this because you have a passion for it. You love it. Sports you love. You also love announcers, TV shows. You love all that stuff, and that's cool. No, because I always tell people, and I used to tell people in my neighborhood, like, yo, you gotta be comfortable in your skin. You know what I'm saying? I do what I do because that's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were joking because I had my N1 basketball shorts on the other day. They were like, you about to go ahead. We got a 1995 basketball run about to happen because I had my N1 shorts, the long ones, and my black socks on. And I'm like, Fab Five, that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? I always rock black socks with everything. Now, if I can't find the sock, I will rock mismatch. You might see a gray in the black. You might see a white in the gray. I don't know.
This is what I'm talking about. When I made a statement earlier, God put us together for a reason. We came.
All right, let's sign off and do this on the backside of what we always do. Let's sign it off.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. And I just took my and one shorts off. So that's all I really own mostly is and one shorts. So anybody that got a problem with the Midnight Rider wearing and one shorts, you got a problem with me. So that's the Midnight Rider. I'm the big guy, KG. The boss, BJ, was on assignment. We'll be back.
Be mad about these last 40 minutes.
Yeah, yes. Scooter says, go Cat Wiz, Nats, and Skins. Yes, indeed. I love it. So we'll be back. WrestleManiacs being on Saturday. Sunday, Midnight Rider, Boss BJ, myself. I think the Boss BJ be back on Sunday. I got to check with him. But we'll be back on Sunday for the Sunday Rise. WrestleManiacs on Saturday. Until then, we don't do no overtime unless it's a good conversation like tonight, baby. We are out of here. Bang!